Yeah,
graphics,
Christine did well
music.
with you. Our
Jenna's
stylist,
wearing her
everything
holiday
looks good.
earrings. All of it. It all is just
we look
so
good.
festive today.
I went with
it's so
I went with the 3/4 inch white. Exactly. Big NBA news to start the show this morning. And obviously we got Giannis to talk about, but we're going to start with James Harden in Houston. 3 burning questions coming in here. Would James Harden play? That would be yes. How would he look in his preseason debut? That would be very okay. 12 points, 21 minutes. And third, what would he say afterward? Cricket. A resounding nothing from James Harden, the Rockets star, declining to speak to the media. Still hasn't said a word since requesting a trade out of Houston. But John Wall spoke. Take a listen to what he had to say.
John, considering what you have to say carries a lot of weight, do you go into like recruit mode to try to keep him here? Are you talking to him about that sort of thing? What's happening when y'all have conversations that obviously we're not privy to?
End of the day, I mean, that's a friend. I mean, I've been cool with James before we became teammates and never thought this idea we would become been on the same team. End of the day, he's going to do what's best for him, and the organization's going to do what's best for them also. So most important thing is when we step on that floor, we step into practice, we're focusing ourselves on basketball. And I don't try to ask him about that because that's his personal business. All I worry about is what we can do to make this Rockets team the best team it can be while everybody is here and move forward with that.
All right, so obviously we got ourselves a James Harden situation. Nick, moving forward, you expect this to get better, worse, or stay the same now?
It's not going to get worse, and it's not going to get better until they trade him. So I think it's going to stay the same, and I don't think that's a terrible place for the Rockets, and I don't think it's necessarily a terrible place for James Harden. I want to back up about a week. Because last week, I was very hard on James Harden for how he was handling his holdout. And in part of that was because I have been so overwhelmingly supportive of James Harden, especially compared to other members of the media, other members of the basketball media, that I felt like him no showing, no calling essentially to work was a bridge too far. But now that he's there, here's what you get with James Harden. Since he's been a Houston Rocket, 8 years ago, they acquired him. No one has scored more points. No one plays more minutes per game. Only Chris Paul and, in fact, only Damian Lillard and PJ Tucker, have played more total games. He is a walking playoff berth. He and Chris Paul are the only superstars to play in the playoffs every year over the last 8 years. And he cares too much about his legacy and his numbers to just mail it in. So while the Rockets try to figure out where they are going to trade him to, and they are going to eventually trade him, I don't think that can be salvaged. James Harden's going to do what James Harden does. Take a bunch of shots, take a bunch of free throws, score 30-plus points a night, and win about 2 out of every 3 games he plays in. Like, that's what is going to happen while the Rockets figure this out. So, Brandon, I don't think it's going to get better. I don't think it's going to get worse. I think you saw James Harden in a Rockets uniform last night. The holdout's over, and he's going to keep playing.
Nick, it gets worse, buddy. You know this. Whenever a player opts not to talk to the media, that's a bad sign. James Harden is going into year 12. He knows better. He knows how powerful the media is. For him to go from no showing, holding out, to coming in and not talking to the media, that's a problem. That's a sign that this thing is trending in the wrong direction. Everything you said, Nick, is the reason why I believe it gets worse. This guy wants to win. You got to think about the little things that happen on the team every single day that makes teams come together. It makes everything comfortable. It's hard. This is $1 billion business. These guys are getting paid $300 million, almost $300 million a year. How much money do they make off of the court? Like, these guys, right, when you come together, the handshakes, the camaraderie, the chemistry, that's what keeps things together. In the locker room, on the bus, while you're traveling. You're not going to see this. It's uncomfortable every single time James Harden walks in the building. The Houston Rockets said it best. They said they're willing to get uncomfortable late into the season. That's exactly what's going to happen. Because when you see this guy, does he smile? Should I smile back at him? Should I say hello? Those are things that happen. I've seen it time and time again in the National Football League. This is unprecedented in basketball, Wilds. But in the NFL, we see it all the times. And when the cameras are not on, it's like, man, you know, we got to answer questions. You just saw John Wall sit up there in his press conference. He's going to have to answer those questions every single night. Is James Harden in? You guys are playing really well. Do you think he's going to stay? You guys played bad. Do you think James is upset? I think this gets worse, Wilds.
Okay. I think it gets much better. And if I was the Rockets, I say 10 games. Give us 10 games. Because here's the Rockets' schedule. Thunder, Portland, Denver, 2 games against Sacramento. Let's give you 3-2 there. Not bad. Then the next 3 games. Mavs, Pacers, Magic. Let's give you 2-1. So now you're 5-3. You're winning games. And games 9 and 10 are home against the Lakers. Nick, if they win those games, I think winning solves all. And next thing you know, James Harden's happy. And I don't know how you can go demand a trade if you beat the champs back to back. So I think you say, hey, give us 10 games, knowing that those Lakers games are coming up. Maybe even LeBron arrests that game. Who knows? And then James Harden, I don't know how he could still have this level of motivation to leave because they can't win if you beat the Lakers back to back on your home floor.
Well, listen, I don't think the Rockets can win the title. I think James knows that. 2 points here. One is, Jenna, I feel like your opening question, is it going to get better, worse, or stay the same, could have also been asked about Kevin Wilde's tie situation, and in a huge upset, evidently the answers get worse. That thing might as well be over his right shoulder. I mean, my God, buddy, straighten the thing out. Like, what's going on? You're the one guy wearing a tie, and you can't get it straight. You're making it worse. Like I said, it's just getting worse. No. It's the mirror image thing. There you go. There you go, buddy. All right, now, as far as James Harden goes, I think that someone close to him or someone with the Rockets, it might be instructive for them to say, James, I know you have in your mind Anthony Davis. He was traded to the team he asked to be traded to, and it worked out great. Kawhi Leonard, though, was traded. Now, it worked out in the end, by the way, but nobody saw the Raptors coming. You had Paul George traded. Nobody saw Oklahoma. I'm talking about before the Clippers. Nobody saw Oklahoma City coming. Kyrie Irving, much like James Harden, gave a list of teams. Celtics weren't on it. Celtics are the one he goes to. Nobody saw that one coming. So James has expanded his list. Now it's Milwaukee, Miami, Brooklyn, Philly, again, trying to avoid LeBron's side of the bracket, which shows what a heady player he is. If I'm someone with the Rockets, I'm like, James, hey, man, that money might spend in Salt Lake City. It might spend in Sacramento. And so try not to upset the apple cart too much, because if you want a winning team, a championship caliber team, Jenna, to want you, you probably are going to have to be as good of a soldier as possible.
And maybe his olive branch was showing up and actually playing. He just wasn't going to talk to the media. All right, much more on this still to come. We got to take a turn and talk some Saints now. They suddenly find themselves with a very important decision to make this weekend. Perhaps the most important. It's next. First things first.